All right, shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Before I get started, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Chakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and my elders of Great Millstone who lead, teach, and rule well. Love and honors my fellow Akim, pushing the word in truth, faith, and sincerity across the four corners. Shalom to the sincere listeners who listen and subscribe to the men and doctrine of Great Millstone. It's a brother Edified from G-Mercy Land Church. Come with another lesson. This one came across the wire. Looks like about an hour ago. Today is May 19th, 2020, the year of prophecy. And here, going to this article, it says, this is from the Yahoo News app, and it says, record high grocery prices exacerbate America's growing food insecurity problems. Going right into the article, it says, a lot of America is going hungry. The coronavirus pandemic has set off a domino effect in the country's food supply chain that is hurting food banks and pantries in the nation's largest cities and the millions of newly unemployed Americans who now depend on them. The latest sign of the food disruption, grocery prices spiked by the largest amount in nearly 50 years last month because of the shutdown of infected food facilities and higher cost of freight. Seeing these are just in these two paragraphs touch on 2 points that I just want to speak on real quick. One, going into a level of famine and apparent shortage when it comes to food, and then two, going into a spike in these prices, which is spiking the prices is known as inflation, a term that we're pretty familiar with, in which the prices of goods and services go up. In this case, mainly because the devaluing of the currency or the U.S. dollar, especially now in this particular moment in time, because you got the Federal Reserve opening up the printing presses, so to speak, and printing money at an extremely high clip. So that's gonna by in itself inherently decrease the value of the U.S. dollar. But then when you also have these spiking demands, and then you have a shortage in the supply, whether it be because the processing plants are shut down or the roadways and the truckers aren't moving at the rate that they normally move, that creates a level of inflation, man. Okay. Continuing on, just about everyone is looking for assistance because the pandemic has hit every kind of person, says Paula Murphy, a spokesperson for the Houston Food Bank. We're serving the clients we served pre-pandemic, and we're serving the clients who never thought they would need to visit a food bank. So here, this is Texas. You had the population who's already using these food banks and food supply places. Then you have a lot of people who never thought they would be needing this type of assistance, and they're having to assist those people as well. Continuing on, it says in 2018, 22.2% of U.S. households, or 28.6 million, fell on the food insecurity spectrum at some point, according to the USDA. Nearly the same percentage, 1 in 5 workers, reported that in the last month alone, they or their immediate family have gone without food for 24 hours due to a lack of money. According to a recent survey of 1,500 people from Edified, in which that's a smaller sample size, about 1,500 people. Really, when you're doing these surveys, and even with that, you gotta watch Esau, because he'll purposely they call it a polling or a survey bias, in which a lot of times, especially with these articles and certain journals, them trying to push a certain narrative or agenda, they'll find or skew the data to their favor. But just going to show you that you got more and more Americans that are actually going without food, whether it be for a day or two, in which we've been speaking on this for some time now. As we speak and as we prophesy going into how you're going to have a lot of people who aren't used to going without a day of eating, man. And they're going to have to go 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, multiple days without eating because of the food shortages, okay? It says a surge of Americans are also applying for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, the federal program formerly known as food stamps, according to an earlier Yahoo Money report. While swelling numbers are seeking assistance at food banks and pantries, with the country's 4 largest cities all reporting an increase in demand. See, these cities are feeling that pressure, man, having to meet the needs of the people, because the government is pretty much the one that shut down the economy. It says nearly half of New York City's network of soup kitchens and food pantries have reported an increase in visitors over the past few weeks and are modifying their services to accommodate the most vulnerable, such as providing more home deliveries. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank has seen an 80% increase in demand, and served over 1 million people since the pandemic's arrival. 1 million people, okay, that this food bank is served since this pandemic. That's a lot of people, man. It says, pre-COVID, the food bank served 300,000 people monthly, and now the number is estimated to be at 500,000. So that's an increase of over 66%, man. Okay, the Greater Chicago Food Dispensary reports a 71% increase in clients since January, says Greg Trotter, a spokesperson for the nonprofit. Says that percentage is likely higher due to issues with reporting. So it's even higher or worse than what they're saying. Okay. It says Houston, home to 1.1 million food insecure people, reported a similar increase. Pre-COVID, Houston Food Bank, which serves the broader Southeast Texas region, distributed 400,000 to 500,000 pounds of food per day. Recently, that number is over 1 million pounds per day across 112,000 households, with a 150% increase in demand. Compounding the problem is dwindling supplies. See, so you got an increase in people who need access to food. And this thing about it, man, the U.S. government is cutting these checks, for now. But one, it's going to get to a point that if you want to continue to rely on the U.S. federal government for assistance, they're going to, just like the scriptures say in Revelations 13 and 14, they're going to cause you to take that mark, which is the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, man. Okay, and from that, you're going to be, there's no repentance from that, man. You're going to end up being put to death. You see? Continuing on in the article, it says food banks not only buy their own goods now at vastly higher prices, but they also rely on donations from grocery stores for items that are nearing purchase by dates or slightly imperfect goods, but those products are no longer available because they're being sold to throngs of shoppers stocking up. So a lot of those goods that they would get donated, primarily speaking from grocery stores, they're not getting those because now these stores are selling out of them items, man. You see? So that's limiting also the supply that these food banks have access to even give to the people. It says food banks are also short-staffed. Unlike in previous times of crisis, in-person volunteers are not best suited to aid in the response effort. Not every pantry is equipped to handle additional volunteers now, while assuring all hands maintain a safe distance. So now you have the social distances in effect too, in which now they haven't even problems with getting the food out to people because of lack of workers or volunteers. It says Trotter mentioned that donating money is the most helpful thing that concerned citizens can do if they can. The Greater Chicago Food Dispensary is projected to use over 40% of its operating budget by the end of June. Our response is just so significant and it's costly, and there's no real end in sight, Trotter said. It's just important for people to understand that this is a long haul situation. So really big thing this article is saying too is, get ready for this to be the new normal, man. Okay, this is the new normal, man. Okay, So, of course, we get a few precepts before I close it out. This is the book of Job, chapter 5. Let's get to the point. Job, chapter 5, verse 12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. See, and the main enterprise in which the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, is disappointing in the craft of the elites of Esau Edom is the culmination and the full implementation of the so-called New World Order system and agenda. Okay, because the thing about it is, the government, a good government is going to take into account times of excess and times of scarcity. You see, and the thing about it is, Babylon the Great, or America, the United States of America, has had ample time to prepare themselves and their people for times of scarcity. Okay, but instead of actually doing what's right for its constituents and for the general public, what the elites of Esau Edom have been doing is they've been hoarding all the resources to themselves. You see, and now that that they're working quickly because they know they have but a short time to actually fully implement this system, this wicked demonic system. There's less and less benefit to hiding and keeping it in complete darkness. Meaning, it's quickly getting to a point in which the elites of Esau Edom are going to say, listen, man, this is what it is. All right. There's not enough food going around. You got plagues, you got sicknesses, you got pandemics. Then the war drums are going to beat louder and louder, in which World War III is also going to be brewing and taking place. And they're going to say, listen, if you want the resources that the American government can provide for you, you need to take this RFID microchip and you need to fully be integrated with our system, so that pretty much you could benefit us in the system, so the system can benefit you. You see, and but that enterprise and that they're trying to do through their deception and craftiness is going to become disappointed, because really at the end of the day, Yahweh Shem Yahushai is the author, the producer, the director, the casting director of this entire story. Yahweh Shem Yahushai is the one who brought this pandemic to the world. Okay, whether it's once again exaggerated or downplayed, okay, from the media, the mass media. At the end of the day, this is all a part of Yahweh Shem Yahushai's plan, in which he used this particular pestilence, this disease, okay, to make greater moves, man. Okay, so for that, I'm gonna get into Genesis, the 47th chapter. And start at verse 5, and it says, and Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, thy father and thy brethren are come unto me. The land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land make thy father and brethren to dwell. In the land of Goshen let them dwell. And if thou knowest any men of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And this is, of course, when Joseph's family, okay, his brothers and his father's household came to Egypt because there was a great famine in the lands. Continuing on, Genesis 47:7. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, how old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my father in the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob, so he just telling him how old he was, going to, pretty much there weren't a bunch of tough times that he had to live through. Okay. And then also they're speaking into the pilgrimage of his forefathers going into the land that they conquered before going into Egypt because of the famine. And continuing on, it says, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh because, Pharaoh was allowing him and his family to dwell in that land. And also Joseph was high in the governmental system as well. So this is utilizing wisdom. Genesis 47:11. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, and the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren and all his father's household with bread according to their families. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. See, similar situation to what's happening here in America at this particular point in time. Even with now, as you go shopping, there's a lot of rationing. You can only take 2 of these items. One of those. You can't take multiples, 2 per person, because there's not a lot of substance to go around, because Yahweh Shah brought a plague to this system. And also, best believe that Esau Edom is seeing that and ensuring that that there's enough resources for him and his enterprise, including his military, federal agencies, his cronies and crony capitalism. But the public really get the scraps, man. Because it's about how connected you are to the top of the enterprise and how much you're actually benefiting them. Even with this whole coronavirus thing, I've seen numerous people, business people, speak about how they knew about it before the public did, and that's because, one, they're tapped into international news in which there's less of a Americanized spin on it, and 2, the people in the know, they get them hip to game, man. That's part of the crony capitalism, is that you get insider information. Verse 14. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why shall we die in thy presence, for the money faileth? And that's what's getting ready to happen here, in America. This money is getting ready to fail because, one, you have a lack of supply, and you have a lack of way to get the supply into the places that it needs to go. 2, you have, like I said, the Federal Reserve printing money at an extremely high rate. Because, like I said, it's going to put more dollars in the American people's pockets, but it's also going to devalue their currency, and decrease their purchasing power. And 3, you got more famines. It's like you have more plagues that Yahweh Shah is going to send to the earth that's going to just continue to jack this whole entire system up, Continuing on, I just want to get to a point and I'm going to close out. Genesis 47:16. And Joseph said, give me your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses and for the flocks and for the cattle of the herds and for the asses, and he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. And I can go into this point on a deeper level right now, but for the essence of time, I'm going to just continue on to finish out the topic of this lesson. Genesis 47:18. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. See, and this is the point that Esau Edom wants to break the people down until they say this, okay? In which, like I said, I wanted to read that story for context, but I wanted to get to this point, okay? Genesis 47:18. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how there our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds of cattle, and there is not aught left in the sight of my Lord but our bodies and our land. Listen, the money is spent, and if I had the money, it wouldn't be no good anyway. All right. All I have is my you already have my my herds or my assets, like my movable assets. Only thing that's left is me and our land, okay? And that's the point that Esau Edom want to get the masses of the sheeple too, man, is to just be completely helpless, okay? In which he's already began an enterprise years ago, okay? From the inception of America, this enterprise for this day is art. The groundwork has continuously been laid, okay? Genesis 47:19, wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, but we in our land, buy us in our land for bread, and we in our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them, so the land became Pharaoh's. So you better believe that Esau Edom has his diabolical hand in the midst of this whole situation, okay? And he's using this, and like I said, there's some other points that I could go into, but for the essence of time, I'm not. Lord will not make another lesson on it. But even how a lot of these government agencies, the Federal Reserve, okay, and the Treasury, they're buying up a lot of the bad corporate junk debt and bonds, okay, because one, they have to, or it's going to spike the price of all the other corporate debts and bonds. Okay, and two, because they're also trying to use this time, okay, this crisis to spend the money to cover up and for their mistakes in the past and their mishandling of certain situations and certain monies. They want to use this time to clean it up, okay, and to sweep that dirt under the rug. However, this is the time in which the righteous and those that believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua aren't going to sell themselves over, okay, and put that mark, that RFID microchip in their foreheads or their right hand, and they're going to rely on our power, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, to overcome any obstacles or any hardships that come our way in the flesh, because it's just that time that we have to go through the trying of our faith, man. Okay. So with that, I'm gonna end out. I hope and pray that was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Makakwadash, double honors to my apostles, my elders of great millstone who lead, teach, and rule well. Love and honor my fellow Akim, pushing the word in true faith and sincerity across the four corners. Until next time, Shalom.